Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
My name is Sofia Martinez and I'm 31 years old. The courthouse hallway smelled like old wood and recycled air. My sister Elena sat 15 feet away with her attorney, her husband Marcus whispering encouragement. She didn't know I could hear every word. "The judge will see through her lies," Elena said confidently. "We have documentation. Witness statements. Everything." Marcus nodded. "Your mom's testimony alone will seal it." I kept my eyes on my phone, scrolling through emails like I didn't have a care in the world. Like I wasn't about to lose everything I'd built. Like my entire family wasn't trying to take $2.8 million from me in a lawsuit that had already cost me 6 months of sleep. The courtroom doors opened. "Martinez versus Martinez," the bailiff called. Elena stood first, smoothing her designer dress. She'd always been beautiful. The golden child, the successful entrepreneur, the one my parents proudly introduced at parties. I followed behind in my simple black pantsuit from 3 years ago, carrying a worn leather briefcase that had seen better days. My mother was already seated in the gallery, along with my father, my uncle Roberto and my aunt Carmen. A show of family solidarity. Against me. The lawsuit was simple on paper. Elena claimed I had stolen $2.8 million from our grandmother's estate after her death 2 years ago. That I'd manipulated an elderly woman in her final months, changed account access, and diverted funds that should have been split equally among all grandchildren. The truth was more complicated. But I'd learned something over the years. The truth doesn't matter until you have the power to make people listen. I grew up invisible in the Martinez family. Not unloved exactly. Just overlooked. Elena was 6 years older, beautiful, charismatic, the natural center of attention. He got her MBA from Stanford. Started her first company at 26. Made our parents proud in ways I never could. I was the quiet one. The bookish one. The one who preferred coding to cocktail parties. I went to state school on scholarships while Elena got a trust fund for her Ivy League education. I worked 3 jobs through college while she networked at country clubs. "Sophia's just not as ambitious," my mother would explain to relatives. "Some people are meant to work for others." I graduated with a degree in computer science and got a job at a mid-sized tech company. Decent salary. Decent benefits. Nothing impressive to discuss at family dinners. Elena, meanwhile, launched her second startup, Martinez Tech Solutions, a cybersecurity consulting firm that landed contracts with small businesses across the Southwest. She was successful. Genuinely successful. And I was happy for her. What I didn't tell anyone was what I did after my 9-to-5 job ended. The side projects. The freelance contracts. The government proposal I'd spent 18 months developing. The security clearance applications. The late nights building something they'd never understand even if I tried to explain. By the time I was 25, I had my own government contracting company. Nothing flashy. Nothing Elena's clients would ever hear about. Just specialized cybersecurity work for federal agencies that couldn't be discussed at dinner parties. The contracts were substantial. $800,000 the first year. $2.1 million the second. By year 3 I'd cleared $4.5 million in revenue with 70% profit margins. I drove the same Honda Civic. Lived in the same 1-bedroom apartment. Wore the same clothes. My family assumed I was still grinding away at my corporate job. Probably making $75,000 a year if I was lucky. I never corrected them. Then came my grandmother. Abuela Rosa was 91 when she had her first stroke. My mother organized the family schedule. Elena would visit Tuesdays, I'd take Thursdays, rotating through grandchildren and great-grandchildren like a corporate duty roster. But I started showing up other days too. Wednesdays. Saturdays. Sunday mornings before anyone else arrived. Not because I had to. Because Abuela Rosa actually talked to me. Really talked. "You're different from your sister," she said one afternoon while I helped her with physical therapy exercises. "Elena talks. You listen. Elena has more interesting things to say. Elena has more need to be heard," Abuela corrected. "You already know who you are." Over those months, I told her things I'd never told anyone. About my company. About the federal contracts. About the life I'd built in silence while my family watched Elena shine. "Why don't you tell them?" she asked. "Because the moment I do, everything changes. They'll want things. Advice. Money. Investment opportunities. Right now I'm just Sophia. The boring one. The safe one. The one they don't have to think about. Wallace squeezed my hand. Sometimes the most powerful position is the one nobody's watching. 3 months before she died, Abuela Rosa changed her will. I didn't ask her to. Didn't even know until her attorney called me afterward. She left me $2.8 million. Nearly her entire estate. Elena and the other grandchildren got $50,000 each. The letter she left was simple. Sophia built something real without asking for help. The others only know how to spend what they didn't earn. This money goes to the one who doesn't need it, because she's the only one who'll use it wisely. The family exploded. The funeral was barely over when Elena cornered me in my parents' kitchen. You manipulated her, she said flatly. You spent all that time there filling her head with lies about the rest of us. I spent time with her because I wanted to. You spent time with her because you knew she had money. My mother appeared in the doorway. Elena, not now. When then? Elena's voice rose. Sophia stole almost $3 million from this family. From Abuela's grandchildren. From her great-grandchildren. We all should have received equal shares. The will was clear, I said quietly. The will was written by someone you manipulated while she was dying. That was the moment I should have told them. Should have explained that $2.8 million was less than I'd earned in a single year. That Abuela Rosa's money was sitting in an account I hadn't even touched because I didn't need it. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep down I wanted to see how far they'd go. What my family didn't know was that in the 2 years since Abuela's death, my company had exploded. I'd won a $12 million contract with the Department of Defense. Another $8 million with the State Department. My team had grown from 8 employees to 43. We'd moved from a co-working space to actual offices downtown. I'd been interviewed for Forbes 30 Under 30 in enterprise technology, but declined because I didn't want the publicity. My annual income was now in the 7 figures. The $2.8 million from Abuela sat untouched in a trust account, gaining interest because I genuinely didn't need it. But my family still thought I worked my corporate job. Still thought I made $75,000 a year. Still saw me as the invisible sister who got lucky with an inheritance. Elena's company, Martinez Tech Solutions, was doing well too. She'd landed several major clients. Expanded to 3 states. She talked about the growth constantly at family dinners. The new hires, the office expansion, the revenue targets. What she didn't talk about was the anonymous investor who'd saved her company 18 months ago when cash flow nearly killed it. The $3.1 million injection that came through a venture capital firm with no name attached. The money that had saved her from bankruptcy when 3 clients defaulted and she couldn't make payroll. I'd made that investment through my wealth management firm. Structured it carefully. Anonymous. No connection to me. Just a smart investment in a promising company that happened to be run by my sister. I'd done it because despite everything she was still family. And her company was genuinely good. But I'd also done it because I wanted to see if success would soften her. If financial security would make her less cruel. It hadn't. Elena filed the lawsuit 4 months ago. The claim was straightforward. Undue influence. Elder abuse. Financial exploitation. She wanted the $2.8 million split equally among all 6 grandchildren. $466,000 each. Her attorney was expensive. Confident. The kind of lawyer who smells money and salivates. My attorney was better. Marcus Chin was 61 years old, looked like somebody's gentle grandfather, and had a success rate that made opposing counsel nervous. He'd handled estate litigation for 30 years. When I walked into his office with Abuela's original will, her medical records, and a timeline of every family member's visits over her final 18 months, he smiled. They don't have a case, he said. But they'll make noise anyway. I know. The question is, do you want to just win or do you want to win decisively? I thought about that. About Elena's cruelty. About my mother's dismissiveness. About the years of being invisible while they celebrated my sister's every achievement. Decisively, I said. Marcus nodded. Then we'll need leverage. Discovery will help, but is there anything else? Anything they've done that might be relevant? I pulled out my phone. Opened my banking app. Showed him Martinez Tech Solutions in my investment portfolio. His eyebrows rose. You're the anonymous investor? $3.1 million. Saved her company from bankruptcy. She has no idea. And if you withdrew that funding? Her company would collapse within 90 days. She's used it as collateral for expansion loans, operational credit lines, and lease agreements. The revenue hasn't caught up to her growth rate yet. Marcus leaned back in his chair. That's leverage. The question is whether you're willing to use it. I thought about Elena calling me a thief. About my parents nodding along. About the assumption that I was the family failure who got lucky. If she pushes this too far, I said quietly, I'll pull every dollar. Judge Patricia Winters was 58, sharp-eyed, and had a reputation for not tolerating bullshit. The courtroom was small, just family law, not criminal. But it felt massive as we took our seats. Elena sat at the plaintiff's table with her attorney, Jonathan Price. He looked exactly like his billing rate suggested, $6.50 an hour worth of confidence and expensive suit. I sat next to Marcus, my worn briefcase on the table, looking like exactly what they thought I was. The unsuccessful sister who'd gotten lucky. All rise, the bailiff intoned. Judge Winters entered, settled behind her bench, and surveyed both parties. Martinez versus Martinez. This is an action to set aside certain provisions of Rosa Martinez's last will and testament, alleging undue influence. Mr. Price, you may begin. Jonathan Price stood smoothly. Your Honor, this case is straightforward. The defendant, Sofia Martinez, systematically isolated the deceased from her family during her final months, manipulated an elderly woman suffering from declining cognitive function, and orchestrated changes to her will that diverted nearly $3 million away from 6 grandchildren and toward herself exclusively. He laid it out beautifully. The timeline of my visits. The change in the will 3 months before Abuela's death. The dramatic discrepancy in distributions. The medical records showing Abuela's stroke. We will demonstrate through witness testimony that Sofia Martinez engaged in a calculated campaign of elder abuse and financial exploitation, he concluded. And we ask this court to void the relevant provisions and restore equal distribution as existed in prior versions of the will. Judge Winters looked at Marcus. Response. Marcus stood slowly like it pained him. Your Honor, the plaintiff's case relies on speculation and hurt feelings, not evidence. Rosa Martinez was of sound mind when she made her final decisions. She was examined by 3 separate physicians in the months before the will was changed, all of whom documented normal cognitive function. She met with her attorney privately without the defendant present to make these changes. And she left a letter explaining her reasoning. A letter will be entering into evidence. He sat down. Jonathan Price called his first witness, Elena. She took the stand in her designer dress, confident and poised. Answered every question perfectly. Described how close she'd been with Abuela, how shocked she'd been by the will, how unusual it was for Sophia to spend so much time visiting. Can you describe the defendant's relationship with your grandmother prior to her illness? Price asked. Distant, Elena said. Sophia barely visited. Maybe birthdays and major holidays. But the moment Abuela had her stroke, suddenly Sophia was there constantly. And did this seem unusual to you? Very. It felt calculated. Objection, Marcus said mildly. Speculation. Sustained, Judge Winters said. Ms. Martinez, please stick to facts. Elena nodded. Sophia started visiting multiple times per week. She'd stay for hours. And Abuela started changing. Pulling away from the rest of us. In what way? She stopped asking about my business. Stopped being proud of my accomplishments. Started making comments about how not everyone needs to be flashy, and real success is quiet. It felt like Sophia was poisoning her against us. Price entered into evidence. Visitor logs from the care facility showing my frequent visits compared to Elena's scheduled Tuesday appearances. Financial records showing the magnitude of my inheritance versus the others. Then he called my mother. Maria Martinez took the stand looking wounded. She testified about how close she'd been with her mother-in-law, how shocked she was by the will, how hurt the entire family felt. Did Sophia ever discuss financial matters with Rosa? Price asked. Not that I heard. But she was alone with her so much. We'll never know what was said. And in your opinion, Was your mother-in-law capable of making such significant financial decisions in her final months? She was declining. The stroke affected her. She wasn't herself. Marcus's cross-examination was gentle but devastating. Mrs. Martinez, how often did you visit Rosa in her final 6 months? Weekly. Sometimes twice a week. And the medical records show she passed her cognitive assessments in month 3, month 4, and month 5 after the stroke. Were you present for those assessments? Pause. No. Did you ever request to meet with her physicians? No, I trusted Elena was handling. So you delegated medical oversight to your daughter while Sophia was simply visiting? Yes. No further questions. Price rested his case at 3 p.m. Judge Winters called a 15-minute recess. Elena was confident in the hallway. I heard her tell Marcus, her husband, "We've got this." Her lawyer barely fought back. I checked my phone. Opened my encrypted messaging app. Typed 3 words to my wealth manager. Execute withdrawal protocol. The response came instantly. Confirmed. 48-hour notice initiating now. Full withdrawal in 72 hours. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. When court reconvened, Marcus stood. Your Honor, the defense calls Sofia Martinez. I walked to the witness stand, was sworn in, sat down. Looked at Elena across the courtroom. She watched me with barely concealed contempt. Marcus smiled gently. Ms. Martinez, can you describe your relationship with your grandmother? We were close. She raised me in many ways. My parents both worked multiple jobs when I was young. Abuela Rosa taught me to code, actually. She was a telephone operator in the 60s and was fascinated by technology. And when she had her stroke, why did you increase your visits? Because she was alone. Elena came Tuesdays. Mom came Wednesdays. But the other 5 days, she sat in that facility with no family. I started coming because no one else would. Did you discuss her finances? Sometimes. She asked about my work. I told her about it. And what is your work, Ms. Martinez? This was it. The moment where everything changed. I'm the founder and CEO of Sentinel Systems, a cybersecurity contracting firm. We specialize in federal government contracts. Last year we earned $24.3 million in revenue. The courtroom went silent. Elena's face went white. Could you repeat that? Price said, standing. Marcus turned. The defendant's annual revenue last year was $24.3 million. This year we're on track for $31 million. He entered into evidence. My corporate filings. My federal contracts. My tax returns. Forbes article drafts I declined to publish. Letters from the Department of Defense, the State Department, Homeland Security. Judge Winters leaned forward. Ms. Martinez, you're telling this court you earn more in a month than the inheritance in question? Yes, Your Honor. The $2.8 million from my grandmother is currently in an untouched trust account. I haven't spent $1 of it. Marcus continued. And Ms. Martinez, did you invest in any businesses in the past 2 years? Yes. I invested $3.1 million in Martinez Tech Solutions, my sister's company, anonymously through a venture capital intermediary. Saved it from bankruptcy in 2023. Elena actually gasped. Marcus entered the investment documents, the wire transfers, the corporate structure showing my ownership through shell companies, the loan agreements Elena had signed using my investment as collateral. Your Honor, Marcus said calmly, my client doesn't need her grandmother's money. She has never needed it. She visits her grandmother out of love, built a successful company through her own work, and even secretly invested millions to save her sister's failing business. The plaintiff's case isn't about undue influence, it's about jealousy. He sat down. Price looked panicked. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. It's called evidence, Counselor, Judge Winters said dryly. Do you have any rebuttal? Price called Elena for redirect. She took the stand looking shaken. You didn't know about Sophia's company? He asked. No. She never told any of us. Why do you think that is? Objection, Marcus said. Speculation. Sustained. Price tried different angles. Each one fell apart. Finally, he said, no further questions. Judge Winters looked at me. Ms. Martinez, why didn't you tell your family about your success? I met her eyes. Because I wanted to see who they'd be when they thought I had nothing to offer them. And I learned everything I needed to know. Judge Winters didn't even take a recess to deliberate. "I've heard enough," she said. "The plaintiff's case is without merit. Rosa Martinez was of sound mind, made her decisions with legal counsel, and had every right to distribute her assets as she saw fit. The evidence clearly shows the defendant built a successful career independently and needed no inheritance." She looked at Elena. "Ms. Martinez, your lawsuit appears to be motivated by bitterness rather than legitimate legal grievance. You alleged elder abuse without evidence. You claimed your sister was unsuccessful when she's actually extraordinarily successful. And you sued her while she was secretly your largest investor." She turned to Price. "Mr. Price, you failed to conduct basic due diligence. A simple background check would have revealed your client's sister's business success. This case should never have been filed." Her gavel hit the bench. "Case dismissed. Plaintiff to pay defendant's legal fees. And I'm awarding an additional $50,000 in sanctions for bringing a frivolous lawsuit motivated by family drama rather than legal merit." The gavel fell again. I stood slowly, gathered my briefcase. Marcus squeezed my shoulder. "Nicely done." In the hallway, Elena was crying. My mother looked shocked. My father stood frozen. Elena found her voice first. "You let me sue you. You could have told us." "I did tell you," I said quietly. "I told you I didn't manipulate Abuela. I told you the will was legitimate. You chose not to believe me. But the investment, my company, you can't." I checked my phone. The withdrawal notice was filed during the recess. 72 hours from now, $3.1 million will be removed from Martinez Tech Solutions. Your operational credit lines will default. Your expansion loans will be called. Your lease agreements will require new collateral. Her face went from red to white. "Sophia, please." "You called me a thief," I said. "In court. In front of a judge. After I saved your company. After I kept my success quiet so you could shine. After years of being invisible while you were celebrated." I walked past her toward the exit. "Sophia," my mother called. "We're family." I turned back. "Yes, we are. Which is why I invested $3 million to save Elena's company even though you've never once asked about mine. Which is why I visited Abuela every day while you visited weekly. Which is why I stayed quiet while you called me a failure." I pushed open the door. The late afternoon sun was bright. "But family goes both ways," I said. "And you taught me I can't trust any of you with the truth." My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. the next morning. "Elena, please. We can fix this." "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. "Marcus, her husband, Sophia, her company will collapse. She has employees. Families depending on this." I didn't answer. "My mother, you're punishing your sister for being hurt. This isn't like you." I answered that one. "Mom, she sued me for nearly $3 million. She called me a thief and an abuser. And the entire family supported her. This isn't punishment, it's consequences. You're being cruel." "No," I said. "I'm being quiet. Like always. You're just noticing it now." I hung up. The withdrawal processed over 72 hours. $3.1 million removed from Martinez Tech Solutions accounts. Her bank called her within hours. The loans secured by that investment were now under-collateralized. They wanted new guarantees or immediate repayment. Her landlord called. The commercial lease required a certain asset threshold. She no longer met it. Her largest client called. They'd heard about the withdrawal through industry contacts and wanted to renegotiate terms. Her company didn't collapse immediately, but it began hemorrhaging. Employees left. Clients became nervous. The expansion she'd planned stopped dead. Within 30 days, Martinez Tech Solutions laid off 15 people. Within 60 days, they'd closed 2 of 3 locations. Elena called me once more. I answered. "I'm sorry," she said. "I was wrong. About everything. I was jealous. I was cruel. I was." "You were honest," I said. "You showed me exactly who you are when you think someone's beneath you. Thank you for that clarity. What can I do to fix this?" "Build your company yourself. Like I did. Without my money. Without the safety net you didn't know you had. Prove you can succeed because you're genuinely good at what you do, Not because your invisible sister is secretly keeping you afloat. And if I can't? Then you'll learn what failure feels like. Like I was supposed to feel when you all dismissed me. When you called me a thief. When you sued me for money I didn't even need. There was a long silence. I'm your sister, Elena whispered. Yes, I said. And maybe one day that will mean something again. But not today. Today you get to be exactly as successful as your work deserves. No secret investor. No family safety net. Just you. I hung up. I'm sitting in my office. The real one in the building downtown with 43 employees and a federal contract pipeline worth $67 million. My assistant just brought me coffee. My CTO is presenting our proposal for a new Homeland Security project worth $15 million. My phone buzzes. A text from Elena. We landed the Morrison account. $400,000. Built the pitch myself. Thought you should know. I smile. Text back. Proud of you. Because I am. She's rebuilding. Smaller. Humbler. But actually building. My mother texts sometimes. Asks how I'm doing. I answer politely. We meet for coffee once a month now. She asks about my business. Actually listens when I explain it. My father sent me an email last week. I'm sorry we didn't see you. Really see you. I'm sorry it took a lawsuit to open my eyes. I haven't responded yet. I might. Eventually. But here's what I learned. Invisibility is only painful when you think you need to be seen. Once you realize you don't, that your worth isn't determined by your family's recognition, it becomes power. They thought I was nothing. I built an empire. They thought I needed their approval. I built without it. They thought they could take from me. I showed them I'd been giving all along. Now they know exactly who I am. The invisible sister. The quiet one. The one who built a $31 million company while they argued over a $2.8 million inheritance. The one who saved her sister's company, withdrew her support when betrayed and walked away without looking back. I don't need their validation anymore. I never did. I just needed to prove it to myself. Mission accomplished.